The final score, 28-21. The Ole Miss Rebels take down the Auburn Tigers in Jordan here under the lights, under a very raucous night and crowd. Let's get into it. This is our post-game reaction show. This will basically just be a therapy for you and also a little bit for me too. War Eagle Auburn family, War Eagle E2C Network family, thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, however you got here, Facebook, YouTube, all the different places that this broadcasts to, we appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, spending some time being a part of our little family within the Auburn family. As is always the case, I'd love for you to start off the stream on any format that you got here, live or otherwise. Please make sure you smash the like button if you like our content. If you still are unsure, obviously you can render that judgment if we're worthy of that like, but it is much appreciated, very helpful for our channel and our content if you can do that. Of course, we'd also love for you to start off the show in a good way. In the chat, the live chat, or on the comment section, post where you're watching from, your city, your state, international, and of course, a War Eagle. Not a War Eagle anyways, a War Eagle always, because it is always great to be an Auburn Tiger, even in times like this. So here we are again, a post-game reaction stream where we are in a therapy mode, trying to figure out what we're seeing on the field. And somehow the Tigers in position again to maybe win a game that they, at least what we know about them right now, they shouldn't. You only lose by a touchdown. Granted that, you know, if you talk about how the game actually flowed, that's maybe a little bit misleading that it was actually that close at the end of the game. But still, you held a very powerful offense to 28 points, which is what I predicted them to get. I was a little off. I was off by 6 points on our score. I did predict a 28-27 Ole Miss win. But I was in. There are, believe it or not, some good things to take away from this game. I know we're not going to focus on most of those, but we're still going to talk about it all. We're going to go through some of the stats here in just a little bit to spark some conversation. I do want to take a lot of your comments and questions that are appropriate. Now, I always tell you, if you want to get on your comment read on this show, don't be a jerk and don't be, you know, just blatantly a bad person to a coach, a player, all that kind of stuff. But let's have some constructive criticism, because there's a lot of criticism, even constructive stuff, that can go around, and even some good things to dive into. So let's do that here and talk about a few of those things. Obviously, I want to say hello to a lot of people I see here. Bill's Mafia, I thought you were going to come on over from TikTok. Nice to see you translating. See, this is why we tell you folks, follow us and all the things, because you never know what other content the others is getting. You might miss out on something if you enjoy what we do here. Let's talk about this. Let's start with a positive note tonight. I will say Bill's Mafia, as he says, Jarquez Hunter balled out tonight. That's not this year that would be balling out for him. Typically, he would do a lot better than this on a more consistent basis. And that's not a knock. It's just one of those years, right? That things are just not working everywhere across the board. But you still got to give him credit. He showed out tonight. I think he was my pick for player to like kind of watch or something like that in the conversation we had previously. So hats off to him. We'll go through the stats that he had even personally here in just a little bit, but that's a great note to begin on. Let's see. And good to see you. Thanks for being here. Big Sip says that Hunter only looks for outside runs, not a great back. Sorry, he says. I completely disagree with you, Big Sip. He is a great back. He is playing behind a very poor offensive line. Not a shot at one individual, but as a unit, they are not getting it done. The ferocity with which we run to the outside in terms of play calling and stuff like that is understandable, because have you seen us try to run up the middle? It don't work. It just don't work. The one that did was Jarquez being a great back and a great athlete, putting his foot in the ground, making a play. And that's what great backs do. So that's why I will disagree with you on that. And I think this is a common theme tonight, Unbeaten Lake. I was a little disappointed in the coaching tonight. And I think it's probably fair to ask some things and question a few things, but I also know that these guys are paid much more than us, and they're not trying to lose these games. I think the biggest reconciliation that's having to happen here is, I think, and not necessarily Unbeaten Lake, not anybody in particular, but just as a collective, We're all having to come to grips with how far this team has fallen, how far this program has fallen in 2 years. I won't say my favorite saying. Corey, and the common theme as well. We got to get away from the 2-quarterback system. Which quarterback are you going to use? I'm just going to be honest here. And like I always stress here, I do not want, because I know family members, players, friends of individuals, coaches, and players watch the show. Do not ever want you to feel like I'm being unfair to anybody. But Robbie is not the answer. Peyton Thorne is not the answer. We don't know if Holden's the answer. But at the same time, if he's not playing over those two, what does that tell you? So I know it's frustrating. I know it doesn't make sense. But when they're individually given opportunities to do something, you kind of saw both have their good and bad moments tonight. Several times tonight, we tried to put 12 players on defense. Darn rest wouldn't let us. I know, isn't that just the shock of the century? They wouldn't allow us to do that. Big Simp says that Betty is more versatile than Hunter. And that may be. I won't disagree with that. I mean, Hunter is more of a kind of, traditional back. Betty is a I think they call him like scat back, where you can do a lot of things with him. And I think he's underestimated in him being able to run between the tackles. But I don't necessarily think that he is better than Jarquez, nor do I think Jarquez is necessarily better than him. I think they're two completely different things. Let me give you an analogy, and a comparison. Think about Ben Tate and Ontario McCaleb. That's taking it back a few years. You had thunder and lightning is what I've called them. Both were good in their own rights. Both did things individually great, but neither one could do what the other did. And that's why they were such a good combo. Now, I'm not sitting here to say that this combo is the best one that we had, but and I don't know if you prefer Batee, that's fine. I love Batee. I want to see him in there as much as possible, but Jarquez Hunter, even as bad as he's been at times this year, is still Jarquez Hunter. Amir just says the flat out phrase, no development whatsoever. It's year one, man. Have a little patience. I think you need to reconcile with how bad things have gotten. WT, passing game showed me that we are severely depleted in personnel. I feel like we have the right coach and staff to get us players. Freeze excels with good passing game. Be patient. We will get there. And I'll kind of take a few lumps myself here. I don't know if a lot of you remember I think it was mainly on Twitter. I'm still going to call it Twitter. There was a female reporter that came to campus pretty early into, I think it was spring camp, and basically just kind of not went at, it wasn't malicious or anything like that, but basically just kind of dogged the wide receiver cores. And we all kind of went at her, and I did too, about what? She might have had something. To say that, I also think that there are some great wide receivers, but it just, a lot of them are given opportunities to make plays, and then they don't. And not that they're given a lot of opportunities to make plays. The ball hits you in the hands, you got to catch it. It's much more complicated. It's not one person's fault. Lane ran the same plays back-to-back because we couldn't stop it. When we did is when we changed calls. How it should be. Not really understanding what you're getting at there, Big Simp. Bills Mafia with some positivity from what I've seen tonight. I do think we can beat Mississippi State next week. I think we could beat Mississippi State even before tonight. Now, look, you are going to have the battle, and even though they beat Arkansas today, the battle of the bottom next week. And I hope that fans show up. It's going to be a little bit warmer again, but the team is trying to kind of figure itself out here. And I know it doesn't seem like it, but there are some like little moments here and there where it seems like they might be getting a few things working in the right direction. I think Jarquez kind of finding himself tonight was a step in that right direction. He can be a game changer if he really gets going. Howard says, there it goes. Main problems to me is the offensive line. The execution is terrible. I agree with you, and that's always my biggest critique. That's where this game begins. There were fine moments tonight, but what frustrated me is when it counted at the end of the game, when they needed to be called upon to protect their quarterback, who was passing well at that point, they couldn't do it. Was it 2 sacks in the same drive, I think, or the same series? Very frustrating. Very frustrating. A 3-2 game. Oh, please no. Please no. I cannot. Y'all will have me in rare form after the game if it's a 3-2 game again. Oh boy. Let's see here. I'm going to really disagree with you here. He is not punting the season, and not everyone can see it. That's completely false. You do not punt the season. Now, you understand the context of what you're working with, and you try to put the best out there, and unfortunately, sometimes your best isn't good enough, and that's definitely what is going on. Hey, Clint, what's going on? Good to see you. Batty is a championship running back. His vision is way better. And that's your opinion, Big Simp. And I don't think you're necessarily wrong, except for the better part. I just won't disagree. I'll just disagree with you there on that. Okay, let's see. Let's go into some stats. You can keep some comments and questions going here. We'll dive into it. What I'd love you to know, what's like something big that stuck out to you tonight, a player in it. Look, folks, I know it's easy to be negative right now, but come up with some positive things too, because there were a few of those things tonight. I thought Marcus Harris had a great night tonight. I need to look at the stats here to confirm that, but well, not that the stats always tell the whole story. All right, so passing tonight, Peyton Thorne did it, folks. We passed the century mark with one quarterback, 100 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception with a rating of 143, 9 for 13. Ironically, he was pretty efficient, except for the interception. So there's that. Robbie, 3 for 4, 22 yards with that interception as well. Jackson Dart, I thought, played, when I look at his stats tonight, I don't see a guy that lit up the board like he could have, but it felt like at times he was 10 for 17, 202, and we got an interception on him. Judkins, and I feel like I predicted this in the prediction show, was going to have a pretty decent game. I wouldn't call this like an amazing game, but 21 attempts for 124 yards, a touchdown. Very solid night for him. Got to tip the hat to him. Wish he'd been at Auburn. Jarquez, decent night, 15 carries, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. Peyton, even though he doesn't have great rushing stats, boy, he made some people look foolish tonight. So everybody who thinks that we're not going to be able to run the ball with the quarterback when Peyton is, you're now been proven false twice now. Man can move a lot better than even I gave him credit for. Receiving tonight, we got the ball at the end of the game to receivers. You guys with catches tonight, Caleb Burton, Jarquez Hunter, Fairweather with a great reach across the goal line for a touchdown at the end. Tyler Rom, Coy Moore. It's just sad to not see that receiver board filled up a little bit more, which ironically, we used 6 receivers tonight. They only used 5. Go figure. Not a great passing night overall for both teams compared to what they probably should be able to do. All right, we'll go through some team stats here. Let me check in with you guys. I'm hoping that is not what I think it is, but it's not. I hope these people aren't going to come like park right next to me. I don't think they are. You guys haven't figured out, I do this like from the car, and there's a little bit of a light that I use. It kind of looks a little bit weird sometimes. And I was like, you're going to come park in this parking lot that's pretty empty right next to me. Anyway, y'all don't care about that. Let's see. About that interception, the ref got it wrong. The Ole Miss player dropped it and used the ground to catch it. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really even invested in us getting that one as much as it would have, helped us. They were much bigger. We shouldn't have even been in that situation at that point. Harris was a game changer. Let me, I didn't go over to the defensive stats, but let's look at them real quick. Home, I want to pull up. There we go. All right. Oh, Marcus Harris, great night. 7 tackles. He's the second leading tackler, 2 solo, 1.5 sacks. Larry Nixon. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, folks, but I believe I predicted the best tackler, Larry Nixon, with 8. the best running back, Jarquez, which you say is probably not the biggest step out in any way. And then I think I predicted Jay Fair was going to be the best receiver, and Fairweather was the best receiving core tonight. So Larry Nixon, Cam Riley with 6 tackles, Kedrick Falk with 6, and then you've got Keontae Scott, Asante, and Puckett with 5, and then a bunch on down from there. Keontae Scott got his interception. No, he did not. Zion Puckett got the interception tonight, and Kaufman also got the INT. So a great night of the defensive backs showing out after a very rocky start that they had. I'm a legal carrier. I see that. It's funny. Corey, so I know this isn't about the game, but let me address, since you're talking about atmosphere, off the charts tonight, folks. This lived up to the billing. Crowd showed up early, filled the stadium. As much as we debated on the Auburn Experience podcast this week about whether the striping the stadium is really a valid thing to do, it looked pretty decent tonight. And so I will give our team credit. I will give, our fans credit for showing up. Everybody who puts on the great atmosphere at Auburn, there's too many names to count. Absolutely outstanding. And boy, that Metallica show, folks. We will put the full video up on Facebook and YouTube, but we're going to wait a day or so because that's what the band is technically requested, because they're trying to win a contest. So if you want to help them, go watch the video on their YouTube channel, but come back and do it on ours too. We're going to just put Amir in timeout because he doesn't know how to behave. So you can decide if you want to behave, Amir, and then you can come back in here. Let's see here. J-Dog says, War Eagle, let's go win the next couple of games. Can we just all talk about the fact that this gauntlet is over? I'm so happy that the gauntlet is over. I mean, it was tough. I hoped we were going to get a win. We nearly did against Georgia. We could have tonight against Ole Miss if we had done a few things differently. You wouldn't have against LSU. Texas A&M, that was such a rocky start. You just wonder if we didn't get off to that bad start, what might have happened there. So there were opportunities to get definitely one win out of here, but 2 wins probably would have been tough, but still potentially possible. Happy the gauntlet is over. Now it's time to go get bowl eligible. Boy, do we need it right now. 4 wins, Mississippi State, Vandy, Arkansas, and New Mexico State. I'm a little bit scared about that Arkansas game. I know you say, Kyle, that's stupid after what they did today, but you know what it is. Is the gauntlet over, though? Well, let's talk about it. Mississippi State at the bottom with us. Arkansas at the bottom with us. No, I've got them out of order, but Vanderbilt, who has half an end zone. New Mexico State. And Alabama. And Alabama is very beatable this year, even for Auburn, at home. Again, I will tell you, if you think that Auburn cannot win at home, then you did not watch the 2021 Iron Bowl. No, Auburn had no business being in that game against that Alabama team. If you don't think they can win this year, then you don't know Auburn football. Well, I won't say that. Never mind. All right. More commentary about this game. I know that we kind of want to put it past us, but things that stuck out to you. Was there a player that we haven't talked about that deserved a shout out tonight? I know that seems ironic to say that, but I do want us to kind of give shout outs with their name. Marcus Harris tonight, I think, is probably your player of the game on defense. Jarquez on offense. What else stuck out to you tonight? Weird stuff in the Iron Bowl. Why do we always seem to give up long drives from the goal line? Are you talking about defense? Is that what you're asking, Matt? Why do we give up long drives from the goal line? I mean, you have to show me the actual statistics of that actually does happen. It's just not a feeling. Don't really have an answer for that because I don't even know if that's true. It might be true. I'm not saying it's not, but I guess I'm interested what your thought on that is. Your question about it is. We talked about a little bit earlier, J-Dog, before you got here. He definitely deserves some praise tonight. Keldrick Falk played pretty well. He's building himself for a very promising career here at Auburn. If I go look at his stats, see Keldrick Falk tonight, he's tied for the third leading tackler tonight with 6 total tackle for loss. His beginning is reminding me a lot of the I'm blanking on his name, Carl Lawson, who was a very highly touted recruit, came in and had a pretty decent start, but then eventually kind of just took that next step in that next year, and he did get hurt in year 2, I believe is what it was. And so after that is really when he took the even bigger next step for it. So we could be seeing the buddings of a very, very good defensive end / edge rusher at Auburn in Keldrick Falk. I don't know why we're talking about Dabo at all. We're just gonna, and that's all he wants to talk about. So there you go, sir. You got yourself put in timeout too. People just don't know how to act right. People just want to sometimes be jerks for no reason. Let's see here. Stan says, so let's give Hugh Freeze a few. I don't know what you're referring to, but I have a feeling you have ulterior motives there. Team stats tonight. Let's talk about team stats. We'll start wrapping up here. I said we were going to, if we got it here. Total yards tonight, Auburn's 275. Ole Miss is 425. I mean, if we kind of keep them lower, actually significantly lower than what they typically do. They were very evenly balanced passing and rushing tonight. Technically, it was Auburn too. Ole Miss had a hard time, even though they scored in that I read a note and I forgot to talk about this. That first Ole Miss possession, my gosh, if they showed the graphic on ESPN, like, the drive, it literally would do this the entire time. Sack, big gain, penalty, big gain, sack. It was just crazy what was happening. They got most of the penalties tonight, but Auburn obviously took a few down the road. Let's see what else. They were 2 for 4 on 4th downs. Auburn was 2 for 3. Total play for them, 74 to our 56. Trying to see what else sticks out here. They had 3 fumbles tonight. I forgot about that, but didn't lose any of them. A couple of those go our way. It's a much different story, I think. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything else that sticks out in the team stats. All right. Yeah, I understand I wasn't talking to you about the Dabo guy. The Dabo guy got put in timeout because he was just being weird. If you're still watching, I'm sorry, but you're being weird. Probably not watching. They get usually mad and run off when they get told they're put in timeout. All right, so final thoughts, questions, comments, derogatory rebuttals, get them in right now. Don't miss your opportunity to have something addressed here on the show. Please do. We want to make sure that we hit all comments, questions, and things of that nature. I don't have any graphics ready for you, but I would like to remind you that this Sunday, tomorrow, we will be having the Auburn Experience episode 55. 9 o'clock is the plan. Stay tuned with that. We might have a schedule change for tomorrow, depending on a few things. But we will get that show off and running for you tomorrow. Most likely, it just may be in a different location with a different guest tomorrow. Austin is having a time getting his schedule settled down. Wednesday night live stream, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Thursday night live stream, prediction show Eastern time, and we'll be back here next weekend. Plenty of other content coming out this week, though, so do not miss it. Big Simp, even though we don't always see eye to eye on our opinions, sir, you still continue to be an amazing supporter of what we do here, and I really, really appreciate that. So thank you for that super chat, sir. Very much appreciated. It'll help keep the lights on here. One above me that ramshacked up there. Nathan with a hot take. Ole Miss, number 1 team. Auburn, number 2. If we're talking about this game alone, then sure, yeah, that's true. Ole Miss is far from the number 1 team. Far from it. Efficient Gaming says, what's going on, Kyle? It's called a rebuild after you made a decision to fire a coach in a COVID year when you didn't have an adequate replacement. You may have agreed with the firing of Gus Malzahn, but you cannot at this point agree that it was the right timing. I will argue that point to the death. Didn't have to be this way. My time difference confuses me. My time difference confuses you. What you talking about? All right, Matt, responding about his comment. Just seems to happen a lot. He had asked earlier about the he felt that we were giving up a lot of long drives from the goal line. We get a team backed up after a great punt and then give up a long drive for points. Again, you'd have to give me the stats that that's actually happening. I think it may be. I just don't know. And I mean, if I'm just trying to speculate, it could be that we play super aggressive when we got them backed up, and then you maybe play over aggressive and give up some of these little rinky-dink plays and things like that. You said 9, but it was 8 for me for the show tomorrow night. So the show tomorrow night's always been at 9 Eastern. Most other shows are 8. We just have to do 9. So if that's what you're talking about, I don't know. So, David, yes, it is a tough loss tonight. My opinion is that we should not have fired Gus, and I can stand on that opinion because of other reasons. But my easiest point that I think should be easy for everybody to accept at this point is because we didn't have an adequate replacement, which thus put us further behind, which is why we're here today having this conversation. Nathan says, give Freeze time. We back where we once were. Auburn tends to do that, right? We always do. Love you too, man. Appreciate you. See you at the Birmingham Bowl. Hey, listen, I will be ranting and raving and so happy to go to the Birmingham Bowl at this point. WT, I'm a huge fan of Ashford, but his passing tonight shows why we were using 2 quarterbacks. It hurts, but I think Freeze is going to do what we can with what he has. I somewhat agree with this. This whole quarterback situation is just so... It's confusing at times with how they utilize them. I will admit that, but it is also understandable given what you just said. Robbie is not the best passer. He's gotten better. We've seen that. We've seen him make some great throws, but that's not his bread and butter. His bread and butter is his athleticism and creating plays, even on the passing game with his legs. Peyton's probably doesn't have a bread and butter, but he's at least more well-rounded. He can run the ball very well. He can throw a very good deep ball, except tonight. I don't know what to tell you. We just don't have the answer right now. The play calling has us like that. The play calling, I think, is very questionable sometimes, but yeah. If only Garner had an extra second to throw. If he makes that bomb, we're all having a conversation about why Holden's not playing more. David says we're making mistakes we shouldn't this time of year. I disagree with that a little bit. I think every team still makes mistakes throughout the year. Not everybody just becomes this dominant team over time, especially a team at Auburn State. I understand what you're saying, though, that you would hope we would have been a little bit further along in some areas. So that's fine, yeah. I think Hugh Freeze is the best answer, right, for the situation that we put ourselves in. I believe that for now. Let's wait and see. I'm highly supportive of him, and I think if the decision that we should never have made got us to this point we are now with him, he was the best option. I don't think one quarterback fixes everything. I don't think it fixes everything. Anyway. All right, folks, we're going to call it there. We're at 30 minutes right now, actually. So thank you guys so much for being here, for putting up with me and my opinions and understanding of them. And for those of you that chose to behave, some of you got put in timeout and then ran off because you got mad and pouted because you got put in timeout. You're probably watching here just quietly now. Anyway, thanks for sticking with me through another therapy session. Thank you for supporting us. And like I always say after these therapy sessions, because they're usually full of hot takes and hot heads, and even me having a hot head sometimes, even though we don't agree on everything, I appreciate you guys for supporting us, being here with me, and being part of our little family within the Auburn family, because you are the best little family within the Auburn family. Stay tuned here at E2C Network for more content coming up, including that Metallica show in a couple days. But go support the Auburn Band YouTube channel right now and that video. Help them win that contest. Your Auburn Tigers fall 28-21 at home. Still plenty of season left. Still plenty of opportunities to do some great things this year. So I'll talk to you again. War Eagle.